eyes again and to be able to talk to Jenny back in mission control. That is an amazing perspective, and it's something we already know from science, but to see it with your own eyes, wow, seeing is believing.
Thank you, Jeremy. There's some time for a few more. The next question is from Raya, Mississauga, Ontario.
We wanted to know, is there anything that you learned from the elders of the Turtle Lodge that impacted your journey to space?
Oh, I love that question. Yeah, I've had many Indigenous elders spend time with me on my travels across the country, and I've always enjoyed it. If I can give you one piece of advice, sit with your elders and ask questions, but listen intently. Every time I've stopped to listen, I learn these amazing things. You've probably seen my mission patch. I have it with me here. I flew with it on my kneeboard, actually. Let me make sure I got it upside right. You've probably seen this. This encompasses a few of the things that I learned from the elders. But when I left the Vision Quest, I had a better understanding of it. And these animals in our patch, in this patch that was created by Anishinaabe artist Henry Guimont from the Turtle Lodge, these animals represent some things that I try to think about every day. My mantra when I wake up is I am just going to try to spend my day walking with these attributes. And so I start with courage, humility, respect, love, honesty, wisdom, and truth. And my crewmates here and one of the instructors that we went on a backpacking expedition with taught us something about being in integrity. It's actually one of the reasons we named our spacecraft Integrity, is because as humans, you are not always in integrity. Sometimes you are in your integrity and sometimes you fall short, but you should strive to be in integrity. And so for me, being in integrity is walking in accordance with these 7 sacred laws. And it's just something that helps me guide me through 7 sacred laws. And it's just something that helps me guide me through life. Over to you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Our next question is here in the room. Oh, it's not. It's online. Our next question is from David Leader, Middle School, also from Mississauga, Ontario.
Our question to Jeremy is, with AI, robots, and climate change becoming big issues on Earth, how do you think missions like Artemis will change the way humans live on Earth in the next 20 to 30 years?
About comms being hard with spacecraft. Who's there? Is it? Jeremy, if you hear this, I'm going to repeat the question. It was, with AI, robots, and climate change becoming big issues on Earth, how do you think missions like yours will change the way we live here in the next 20 or 30 years?
Hopefully you can still hear me, but humans are always pushing the boundaries, always inventing.
If you hear this, I'm going to repeat the question. It was, with AI, robots.
Yes, I heard the question the first time. Maybe my comm's not getting down. It's interesting to think about. Hopefully you're hearing this. Just interrupt me if you're not. We keep pushing the boundaries of innovation, and there's new technology, and that's great. We can leverage it for our advantages. We can also use it to do harm. And so we just have to strive to keep pushing innovation in ways that helps us collectively live better together. How do missions like Artemis help us? Well, one of the things I love about space exploration is we set really big goals, hard goals, like sending 4 humans out around the moon, and we have more goals. We're not stopping here. If you think this is neat, it's going to get really exciting in the next number of years. We plan to get back to the surface of the moon. We plan to create a permanent base there on the moon and eventually get to Mars. But what is awesome about when we set these big goals is it puts a focus point on actually getting it done. When you know, it's easy to dream about things and create innovations, but when you actually are going to bet your life on something and go out and do it, it really helps bring that innovation cycle all the way around, from original thought to scientific understanding to actually development and testing to actually doing. And doing is important. And we in the Artemis program are doing as an international collaboration and flexing one of the most important muscles we have, which is learning how to work better together. Over to you, Josh.
Thank you, Jeremy. That was well received down here. We're hearing that is about all the time that we have. And so a heartfelt welcome and thank you to Jeremy, Christina, Victor, and Reed, the Artemis II crew. Bon voyage. We wish you a safe journey home. We hope to see you all again very soon. Thank you, everyone.
Integrity. This is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes our event.
Merci tout le monde. Thank you to all participants. Integrity. We are now resuming operational audio communications.
Thank you, Josh. The crew says thank you.
Integrity.
We're live in Artemis Mission Control here in Houston, Texas at Johnson Space Center. You just watched Jeremy Hansen speaking with members of the Canadian Space Agency and Prime Minister, as well as Canadian Space Agency astronaut Joshua Kutrick.
Houston Integrity for onboard camera.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Just curious if you guys want to stay on board. I know we've got the other PAO event later. Maybe we could just stay on the D5. I don't know if that TS rate of 1300 is too much. I'm not sure if we can lower it, but either way, we're happy to have you on board with this camera, ideally, or we can switch over to the HHP.
We're checking. Jeremy, we'll stay with you on the D5 for another 14 minutes, then we have a data rate change and we'll have to drop it.
Okay, Stan. I'll turn the audio off and then bring it back on board.
Good plan, sir. And we loved your PAO event.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that.
You're looking at a live view inside the Orion spacecraft. That is NASA astronaut Christina Cook. The Orion spacecraft is now 99,427 miles away from the moon, 184,498 miles away from Earth. Obviously, you can keep up with that at any time at nasa.gov/track Artemis. Inside the cabin, the crew members are finishing up their midday meal. And again, a reminder, our news conference with the crew members will happen at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Time tonight.
Integrity Houston for timeline, 2 items.
We're with you.
All right, first, since we are not doing the docking cam bearing objective anymore, you can wait on docking cam install until just before bedtime, so we don't need it early anymore. Next, the flight director conference coming up here in a minute or two is going to be on Open Around Earth to discuss the valve leak characterization.
And one clarifying question with the docking cam, it sounded like you were just giving us that full length, but if we did want to take it down sooner, that's also okay.
And Christina, sorry, bad words. All we really mean is plug it in sometime before bed. We understand it's already installed.
Yep, and I messed that up too. Yep, we are talking about the power. That's the commodity here, and sounds like we can do it whenever. Appreciate it.
Good words.
Integrity Houston, Orion to Earth 1 for conference.
Hey, we're with you, Jeff. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, guys, we're going to talk through the steps that we're going to do in the prop characterization. The overall big picture, what we're trying to do is really understand whether we have a leak on aux branch 1, and if we do, exactly what that leak rate is. So the first thing we're going to do is get all of our caution warning and our fitter back in the right configuration to be able to do a flush on that aux branch. We're going to do that from the ground, and you guys will be able to see that on the prop ohms plus X display. And so after we do that, we're going to be left into configuration with the latch valve open, and of course there's 2 solenoid valves which are not on your display, they're still closed, and those are the ones that we're going to see if there's leakage across. So we're checking for leakage from the helium tank into that aux tank that's downstream, and that's what we're trying to see.
Makes sense.
Okay, a couple of criteria that we have for stopping this test. If we see the fitter kick off, actually detect the leak again, of course it'll close the latch valve, and that will terminate this test with no action from either you guys or us. The other things we're looking for are if we get a pressure in the aux tank upwards of 274 psia, then we're going to command the latch valve closed. I don't expect that the ground or the crew would need to do this. We do expect the fitter to take action first, but we want to make sure that if for some reason we have a leak that's bigger than we expect, that we close that latch valve before we get to the 274 psi in the tank. Let's see, integrity, we've got 30 seconds to a data rate change, and then we'll see you on the other side.
We copy all that. Let me just read a little bit back to you. Fitter should be enabled to shut us down. We are going to keep the SMRCS prop.smrcs up. We just like that page a little more for the phase of flight we're in. If you want us to go back to OMC plus X, we can. And the valve in particular we're talking about is the aux helium isolation valve, top stop 3 on that page. That's the only insight we have because we don't have the PCA. And that's string 1. And anytime we see it get above 270.
We are in a brief handover with the crew, and we'll regain that communications shortly. Flight Director Jeff Radigan calling up some of the instructions and things they want the crew to monitor during tonight's prop pressurization test. Here in Artemis Mission Control, the Orbit 1 team is on console, but the Orbit 2 team is filtering in the room and getting through their handover procedures.
And the fitter has not worked, and ground commanding has not worked, or we're LOS, we will command tab stop 3 to close. PSA, and the fitter has not worked, and ground commanding has not worked, or we're LOS, we will command tab stop 3 to close.
Integrity Houston, back with you after the data rate change handover.
We got you, Jeff. Did you hear our response or not?
Let's see. We copied you talking about what we would take action on, the helium isolation valve, tab stop number 3, and closing that. And you gave us a summary that we expect the fitter to actuate first, and if it doesn't, then either the ground or you guys will take action. Ideally, we would command from the ground first, but of course, if we're LOS unexpectedly, then you guys will take action to close that valve to isolate aux branch 1.
Yep, that all sounds absolutely perfect. We will leave you all as prime for this, prime for commanding, prime for the test. We'll just monitor as you all go. And then if we're LOS and I try to close auxilium isol 1 and the valve for some reason is not commandable, I would just assume my next step would be secure prompt for SMRCS.
Yeah, and read negative, that's actually not going to solve the issue if we do that. If for some reason this latching valve is unsuccessful, our next step is going to be having to go down the route of actuating the pyro valve and ensuring that we have a physical isolation on this branch 1. I will tell you, we don't expect to get to that, but part of the reason we're ensuring that we're doing this with COM, with the vehicle, is that multi-failure case.
Okay, awesome. We see that pyro valve. I know we won't get to that point, but we see it on SMP and T, so just good to know that that is there. But I know, don't worry, we're not going to go anywhere near that.
Copy. We appreciate that. That's all I had for you. We are going into an hour-long forward LOS here, and then we'll pick up with the prop actions on the other side, and then we'll get you guys to your PAO event. But happy to take any other questions you guys have.
All right, Jeff, that all sounds great. We have no questions on that, and if we're going to wrap, Jeremy is going to call Stan with a generic question.
Integrity Capcom's ready for your question.
Okay, Stan, I'm just looking ahead at the Eclipse wall closeout panel activity, which is flexible. I'd like to step into it soon. I'm looking at the fastener you've chosen in the procedure, and that is definitely not the most convenient one. I can do that one if required, but going up that same row of fasteners, 3 fasteners higher, so second from the top, fourth from the, I guess third from the bottom, fourth from the bottom would be easier.
Jeremy, copy, we're checking. All right, Jeremy.
Stan, actually, maybe one go back. As I read further while I'm waiting for you, I see that it is the highest loaded fastener on panel 6. So we don't want to miss the opportunity to demonstrate that we can get the highest loaded fastener out. So I'm fine. It is accessible. It was just not as convenient.
Jeremy, to channel JFK, we picked that fastener not because it was easy, but because it was hard.
Oh, now you're talking to us. Okay, it will be fastener A.
Thanks, Jeremy.
This is Artemis Mission Control here in Houston, Texas, and the team here on the ground communicating with the crew some actions they want them to be aware of during tonight's prop demonstration or prop pressurization test. Artemis 2 is now 183,952 miles away from that planet you see on screen, which is our home, Earth. Scheduled for a splashdown in 1 day, 23 hours, and 59 minutes.
Integrity Houston, cabin repress is complete, 14-7, and we'll stay that way for the rest of the mission.
Stan, we definitely appreciate that, and you should probably just carry a note forward for future Artemis missions. If you do a large repress like that, there are certain things, such as CCUs, that collapse pretty significantly during that, no damage, but there are some things we probably would want to vent along the way as we come back in pressure.
Received loud and clear, Reed. We'll take that note.
That was Commander Reed Wiseman calling down to the ground. We did conduct the cabin repressurization today. The cabin pressure was kept at 10.2 psi for an extended period of time as part of a test aboard the spacecraft, as this is a test flight. The first flight of humans aboard Orion. Everything we learn is helping us prepare for future missions. This is Artemis Mission Control here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where the Orbit 1 and Orbit 2 teams are now handing over. I'm Leah Cheshire Mustachio. This might be my final shift, but if you're new to following NASA, I want to say welcome. There are monumental things to come, and we're so excited you are here for the journey. It's been the honor of a lifetime to help share this mission with you, to help share this incredible crew and the teams that make it all possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you carry this wonder with you. Our 24/7 coverage continues with my friend Anna Schneider, and we'll be live all the way through the astronauts' splashdown and recovery in the Pacific Ocean on Friday, April 10th, so don't go anywhere. Thank you.
And Integrity Houston on 1, we're about a minute out from our hour-long forward link LOS. During that time, there's about an 11-minute return link LOS. Except for those 11 minutes, we'll be watching and listening, but can't call back.
Okay, Stan, anything that we see, we'll call in the blind. Otherwise, have a great little break.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Good evening from Mission Control Houston inside the Artemis Flight Control Room. I'm Anna Schneider with NASA Communications, and the Orbit 2 team of flight controllers has recently come on console, and they have completed their handover with the Orbit 1 team. The Orbit 2 team this evening will be led by Flight Director Fiona Ankoviak, and the Capcom, or capsule communicator this evening, will be Ginny Gibbons, and you can see both of them there on your screen. The Flight Director console is on the upper right, and then the Capcom console is right next to that on the bottom portion of your screen. We are currently in a forward link loss of signal, which means that the team here on the ground can't call up or make any commands, but the crew on board the Orion spacecraft can call down if they choose. We just wouldn't be able to respond. And there on your screen, you can see a live look at the Orion spacecraft named Integrity as it continues its return journey back home to Earth, with that splashdown targeted for Friday, April 10th off the coast of California. The crew on board the Orion spacecraft is currently awake. They are in the second part of their day. Earlier in the day, they completed an orthostatic intolerance garment test. During this test, the crew members took turns testing and evaluating the orthostatic intolerance garment, which is worn under the Orion Crew Survival System suit, which is that orange suit that the crew wears during dynamic portions of the mission, such as launch and re-entry. The orthostatic intolerance garment helps astronauts maintain blood pressure and circulation during their transition back to Earth's gravity. After extended time in microgravity, some astronauts experience orthostatic intolerance, which is a condition that can make it difficult to stand upright without dizziness or fainting. So this garment applies lower body compression to counteract this effect and support a safe return. After completing that orthostatic intolerance garment testing earlier in the day, the crew then moved into their midday meal. There was also a Canadian Space Agency Public Affairs downlink event. And now the crew is completing some cognitive assessment questionnaires. And then they will be moving into another public affairs event later in the day around 9:45 p.m. Central Time, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Time. The crew is originally planning to do the second portion of a manual piloting developmental flight test objective later in the day. That objective, or that demo, ended up being canceled to allow time for the team here in Mission Control to work on a oxygen manifold of the service module's propulsion system. So earlier in the mission, the team observed a pressure increase in the oxygen manifold of the service module's prop system and isolated a branch of the oxygen pressurization system. And when branch 1 was isolated and the oxygen tank pressure increase halted, and those pressures steadied out, but teams have been discussing that configuration since flight day 2 and have now developed a test plan to further understand the oxygen pressures when branch 1 is available for pressure control. So after running that test plan through the simulators today, the team is ready to execute that test this evening. And so that is why that manual piloting developmental flight test objective was moved off the timeline to allow time to execute that test this evening. Currently on your screen, you can see a view of the Artemis real-time orbit website, or ARO. This is a visualization that provides updates on the Orion spacecraft's velocity as well as its distance from Earth and from the Moon. So currently the Orion spacecraft and its crew, which includes NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Cook, as well as CSA, or Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, are currently about 182,000 miles away from Earth and about 100,000 miles away from the Moon.
Houston Integrity call in the blind from a Peltor, and just doing a test for the Peltor noise reduction flexible activity. These actually work really well. We have 3 crew members on Peltors, 1 in the toilet, and we're using the Bluetooth feature to talk between them, and they sound really good. Noise canceling makes them very quiet, and then talking to each other with push to talk on the headsets.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. You just heard NASA astronaut Victor Glover call down from the Orion spacecraft. You can see a live view of that Orion spacecraft. He noted that he was making a call in the blind, which means that he knows that the team here cannot respond to that call because we are currently in a forward link loss of signal. And that call he made was regarding some noise reduction activity that they are currently doing, and it was a taskless item, as in not necessarily scheduled on their timeline, but some extra activities if they had time to get to that they could perform for teams here on the ground. So again, they were working on a noise reduction assessment activity, and he was making that call in the blind because we are in that forward link loss of signal, and we do expect to regain that forward link and reacquire signal in a little less than 30 minutes. This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. Again, we are currently in a forward link loss of signal, or LOS, which means that the crew can call down to Mission Control, but the teams here in Mission Control cannot call up to the crew during this time. We do expect to regain that forward link in about 18 minutes from now. Currently on board the Orion spacecraft, the crew is awake. They are in the second part of their day. They will be moving into a public affairs event a little bit later today. And then earlier this morning, at the beginning of their day, they spent quite a bit of time working on a orthostatic intolerance garment test as part of a developmental flight test objective. And during this test, all 4 crew members took turns testing and evaluating the orthostatic intolerance garment that is worn under the orange Orion crew survival system suits. These garments help the astronauts maintain blood pressure and circulation during their transit back into Earth's gravity, because after an extended time in microgravity, some astronauts experience orthostatic intolerance, which is a condition that can make it difficult to stand upright without dizziness or fainting. So this garment applies lower
integrity OE1 in the blind comm check using the Peltor headset on the seat 2 umbilical MET 7232.
That call there made from NASA astronaut Christina Cook, who is one of the mission specialists as part of the Artemis II mission on board the Orion spacecraft. She noted that she was making that call on OE1, which is Orion to Earth 1. It's the communication link down to Mission Control. And she also noted that she was making that call in the blind, and that is because we are in that forward link loss of signal, so that the teams here in Mission Control can hear them call down but aren't able to provide a response back up. She mentioned a Peltor headset. They are currently working through a noise reduction activity using those headsets.
Integrity, Houston for a comm check.
We have you loud and clear. How us?
We have you the same. Thanks, Christina. And your calls in the blind on the Peltors came down super crispy. They were loud and clear.
Great to know. Thank you.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We're currently 7 days, 2 hours, and 51 minutes into the Artemis 2 mission. The crew and the Capcom here in Mission Control, which you can see a view of Capcom capsule communicator Jenny Gibbons on the left-hand side of your screen, calling up to perform a communications check with the Orion team, Orion crew, following that forward link loss of signal. Now that we've regained or reacquired that signal. So now the team here in Mission Control can communicate directly with the Orion spacecraft and its crew, and they can communicate back down. This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. You're currently seeing a live view of the Orion spacecraft. This view coming to you from one of the solar array wing cameras. The Orion spacecraft has 4 solar array wings attached to the service module, which provide power generation.
And Integrity, Houston's on board with you, and we have you loud and clear. But the PAO event has been delayed by 1 hour so that we can support this prop characterization test. Copy, thumbs up.
Yep, that's right. We're just on autopilot for once, just following Optimus there on my IM. And okay, we'll just stay streaming if you want it, and then we'll be ready for PAO in an hour.
No worries. We'll happily hang out on board with you, and we'll continue our preparation work for that characterization test down here. Thanks.
And you're now seeing a live look inside the cabin of the Orion spacecraft. Those calls coming down from NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman, who's in the forward portion of that view on the left-hand side. You can also see CSA, or Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, in the center of your screen. And next to him is NASA astronaut Victor Glover. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see NASA astronaut Christina Cook. They went ahead and started streaming the interior camera in preparations for an upcoming public affairs event. And that event taking place in a little over an hour from now, around 9:45 p.m. Central.
Integrity Houston, we are taking our initial steps for this characterization test. We will let you know in advance of the flush in which we will be opening that ox-helium ISO valve 1, and at that point we would need you in place at the DUs. We'll let you know.
Great, Jenny. We'll be ready.
The Capcom, or capsule communicator here, Mission Control, Jenny Gibbons, who was also a backup for the Artemis 2 mission. She's a Canadian Space Agency astronaut alongside Jeremy Hansen, calling up regarding a propulsion characterization test that is going to be taking place here shortly. Earlier in the mission, the team had observed a pressure increase in the oxygen manifold of the service module's propulsion system and isolated a branch of the oxygen pressurization system. When branch 1 was isolated and the ox tank pressure increase halted and those pressures steadied out. Teams have been discussing that configuration since flight day 2 and have since developed a test plan to further understand the ox pressures when branch 1 is available for pressure control. After running the test plan through simulators today, the team is now ready to execute that test this evening, so that is what they are preparing for now. So with the limited time remaining in the mission, and a desire to execute this test while the crew is awake so that they can back up commands from Mission Control, the best time to fit in the test into the plan was this evening. So they did have to rearrange some of the crew's timeline. There was originally a docking camera demonstration and a manual piloting demonstration scheduled for this evening. And both of those tests would have altered the spacecraft's attitude and utilized the propulsion system that they're testing. So in order to provide a steady environment for evaluating the test data, the mission management team approved canceling both of those demos taking place this evening.
Integrity Houston, I thought we just caught an ActiWatch sync. If I had my own, I'd sync it with you.
100%, Jenny Gibbons.
Glad that's still alive. Good job, guys.
Houston Integrity for a PAO message that I recorded earlier.
Go ahead.
Maybe this is two items. First is a question that I think you'll be able to answer in a few minutes, which is I had an activity on my timeline to record a PAO message this morning. Let me see if I can figure out which one that is. It was my MET 2145 PAO recording. If it is, does that need to be downlinked or does that just need to live on my iPhone?
We'll get it after the mission read.
Okay, and then an interesting nuance on the iPhones that maybe someone down there can think about, this is definitely the least urgent question you're going to get this entire mission, is when we plug them into PCDs to like pull a photo or a video over, we don't have any rhyme or reason yet, but sometimes it takes like 12 or 18 hours maybe for the picture or the video we just took to actually show up. All the other stuff shows up, but new stuff does not show up on that PCD for a long time. It's almost like it's using a cache or something, and it's just not going in and looking on the phone for new pictures. It's just a very weird phenomenon. If anybody has an aha moment down there, we'd love to hear it.
All right, we'll take some time to think about that one, but as you say, low priority. Thank you.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. You're now seeing a view inside.
Integrity for Oxone.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you just said you're busy or not as busy right now. We're trying to start thinking about entry prep, and we want to know, are we going to change out Oxone one more time in the toilet or not?
Yep, Reed, good question. We will want fresh Oxone tomorrow, so you will do that Oxone change out or tomorrow.
Houston Integrity for stowage.
Go.
Hey, Jenny, as we move a few things around over the next half an hour, are you guys okay if we call individual things down, or is that going to clobber your headspace down there?
We can absolutely take whatever you want to call down with respect to stowage.
Houston, one quick one. We have an oxone inlet filter serial number 1031 that we are going to stow in CTB Bravo 3 small, just to get it out of the way.
Copy, read. Which CTB in Bravo 3 small? We believe there are two.
And I'm sorry, that is going to go into Bravo 2, the small one underneath C1.
We copy, thanks.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. You can see a live view of the crew.
Data rate change in 30 seconds.
You can see a live view of the crew on board the Orion spacecraft as they continue their return journey. They were recently calling down some stowage locations where different items are being stowed and held in preparation for the re-entry and return on Friday, April 10th. The IVA, or Intravehicular Activity Position here in Mission Control Houston, is the console responsible for supporting the astronauts and their activities inside the Orion spacecraft. They also monitor the crew's well-being and provide suit support, hygiene, and internal crew support tasks throughout the mission. And you also heard a call-up that there was going to be a data rate change, and during that data rate change, there is often choppy communication, and we'll typically lose those views momentarily before we regain them. From this view on your screen, you can see the full Artemis flight control room here in Mission Control Houston, and this flight control room is just down the hallway from the International Space Station flight control room. Some of the positions that you see there on your screen include ground control in the far upper left corner, far bottom left corner. The ground controller manages the team that maintains and operates ground and network facilities, including voice systems, building systems, redundant power systems, and more. A couple rows behind the ground control console in the middle left portion of your screen is MPO, which stands for the Mechanical and Power Officer, and they are responsible for electrical power generation, solar arrays, array rotation mechanisms, and power distribution systems. They also manage the crew hatch, docking mechanisms, vehicle pyrotechnic devices, parachutes, and water uprighting systems. And then next to the MPO console is FAO, which is the Flight Activities Officer. They are responsible for integrating and managing onboard activities. They're also responsible for managing the transfer of procedures, email, and other information between the crew and the ground. Behind the MPO console in the back left is ECOM, which is the emergency environmental and consumables manager, and they're responsible for internal thermal control systems, air and water supply, and purification systems. And they also manage emergency response. Those are just a handful of the positions that are here in the flight control room, and all of these teams also have a back room supporting them throughout the mission. This is Artemis Mission Control. Following that brief data rate change, we now have those live views back of the crew inside the Orion spacecraft. Again, they're working through some stowage activities to start preparing for re-entry prep. They will do a lot of their re-entry preparations tomorrow when they will be reconfiguring the cabin to prepare for splashdown, and they will also be studying their entry procedures. In addition to stowing some of their equipment, they will also be installing their seats to ensure all items are secured for re-entry.
Integrity Houston for contingency urine stowage bag dump.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Hey, Reed, wanted to let you know that message 3.8.6 is on board with a procedure to dump urine from the contingency urine stowage bag. We verified that you can complete this anytime today, and the heaters are configured for the dump. That's step 1.1 is complete.
Hey, Jenny, thanks for the call. I haven't reported that there's more urine in there. I think we're in about probably 1,200 mils at this point. Will that volume affect the call you just made?
No issues, Christina. We appreciate you letting us know, but you are go to dump that amount.
Okay, thanks. And understand I'll be able to, if it's desired to land with that bag empty, I will be able to dump on entry day as well.
Affirm.
Awesome. And this reminds me, will we be dumping the water that we got in the other CWC?
Nope, Christina, we won't be dumping that. We don't want to risk any freezing. We'll be landing with that water in the bag.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
And Jenny, quick question, any chance that Mike and I can do the flywheel closeout 28.3.112 now as a little bit of a get ahead?
Absolutely, your go.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. Some additional communication there between both NASA astronaut Christina Cook as well as NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman talking to the ground about a handful of activities, one of those related to a wastewater dump. They also referenced the acronym CWC, which referred to some contingency water containers. They were confirming that those would not be dumped ahead of re-entry and splashdown on Friday, April 10th. And then they were also discussing the flywheel exercise device on board the Orion spacecraft and beginning to take that apart and stow it. The flywheel uses a cable-based system that supports both aerobic workouts like rowing and resistive movements such as squats and deadlifts.
We all just had that weird vibe of backing up and we were getting sad.
Oh, we feel it too, but we'll be happy to have you back.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We're currently at a mission elapsed time of 7 days, 3 hours, and 33 minutes into the Artemis 2 mission. You can currently see a live look inside the Orion spacecraft's cabin. That spacecraft named Integrity by its crew. Currently on screen you can see NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman as well as NASA astronaut Victor Glover, and just floating off screen was NASA astronaut Christina Cook. They are working through some stowage activities in preparation for re-entry. That re-entry and splashdown expected to take place on Friday, April 10th. Specifically, they are working to do flywheel closeout, and the flywheel is the exercise device on board the Orion spacecraft.
Go.
Jenny, I have two 12-by-12 Ziplocs of uneaten food. I'm wondering if I can stow them under the headrest in that locker we were talking about, Bravo 1. No, sorry, Bravo 2.
Jeremy, we actually prefer that be temp stowed for now. We will have the full repack plan for you tomorrow morning during cabin config, and we'll have a place for that.
Okay, we'll temp stow it.
Thanks.
And Jenny, is it okay if we put flywheel tools into bag 10, or do you need flywheel tools back into bag 16?
Checking. Reed, we have an answer for you. We would prefer them stowed in bag 16 because we'll be using them again for the docking camera bracket ops.
Okay, into 16 they go, and with that, I'm happy to report that 28.3.112 is complete, and if you could let Victor know in Building 5 his favorite green card did not manifest on this flight. We did not lose the shaft lock pins, and Christina has one thing for you.
We love it. Thank you.
And Jenny, with your last call, I realized that we're very eager to obviously start getting ahead on any packing we can. We haven't been reporting Bob deploys. Do you guys need to know that, or are there any other things that you have question marks about? Because I just want to make sure that when we get that, y'all are, have the right information to get that packing plan good.
Checking. Christina, at 5:45 today on your timeline, you have a consumables check, which the intent of that was to report on those items. We can take it earlier if you're ready.
Awesome. Let me have a look, and we'll let you know if we have anything we can tee up for you now. Otherwise, we'll wait for it as scheduled.
That sounds great, and Victor's spinning is making us giggle. It's really spectacular. Integrity crew, Houston, we are ready for the prop SM aux branch 1 flush and pressurization. We'll have at least one crew member at the DU, and let me know when you're ready for more information.
We're ready.
All right, Christina, some additional information for you. That tank pressure limit of 274 psi will also ring an enabled caution if it's reached, and that caution is SM aux tank P high. That'll be another indication that we'll both be racing to close that aux helium ISO 1 valve.
Understand all.
Okay, do you have any more questions before we get started?
Okay, we are ready.
Copy. We'll put it in work now.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We had quite a bit of communication there for a minute from the crew on board the Orion spacecraft as they're working through some closeout items and restowing some of the cargo on board the Orion spacecraft in preparation for entry. One of the items they referenced was a bob, which is a bulk overwrap bag, and these are how the food items are stored on board the Orion spacecraft and also how they're stored on board the International Space Station. And then the ground also said that they were going to start a prop flow, and this is related to the propulsion characterization test that they are running this evening. So earlier in the mission, the team had observed a pressure increase in the oxygen manifold of the service module's propulsion system, and as a result, they had isolated a branch of the oxygen pressurization system. But teams have been discussing that configuration since flight day 2 and have developed a test plan. So they are executing that test this evening.
Integrity crew, prep has completed the initial flush. We are continuing with steps following the flush. That valve is open and things are looking good so far.
Copy, and we'll stay at the DUs, follow along.
Thank you.
And you just heard the Capcom or capsule communicator here in Mission Control, which for Orbit 2 this evening is Ginny Gibbons, who is a Canadian Space Agency astronaut and was one of the backups for the Artemis 2 crew. They called up regarding the prop characterization test that's currently ongoing and stated that it's going well so far, and that NASA astronaut Christina Cook, currently on board the Orion spacecraft, said they will continue to monitor that test from the DUs, and that refers to the display units on board the Orion spacecraft.
Houston Integrity PCD-2 for the actigraphs.
We copy.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. You heard a call a moment ago from NASA astronaut Christina Cook referencing a PCD. Those are portable computing devices, basically a tablet that the crew uses, and she was also referencing an actigraph device. So as part of the Artemis 2 mission, the crew is wearing actigraphy devices, which are small watch-like sensors that gather health-related data, and they're also answering periodic questions about conditions on board the Orion spacecraft.
Integrity crew, we are now past the most dynamic part of this prop characterization test, and we are in a stable config. So we'll keep monitoring the state of the SM Aux Branch 1 from the ground, with FITR backing us up, of course. You are released to go about your business. Of course, understanding that if that caution rings, you know what to do. With that, we are just under 13 minutes from the PAO event, and we will take a scene and voice check at any time. Thanks.
We copy all. Thanks. See you on the camera in 13. Lined up for PAO. You do have us on camera now.
Affirm, we got you on camera, just missing the scene and voice check. Thanks. And we got a good scene and voice. I think everything's looking and sounding right. Thanks, Victor. And one go back for you guys. It looks like that America 250 flag came dislodged a little bit or slipped down. If we could get that put back up, we'd appreciate it. Otherwise, all good. Looks good, Victor. Thanks.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We are currently 7 days, 4 hours, and 5 minutes into the Artemis 2 mission. Following a lunar flyby on flight day 6, which was Monday, April 6th, the crew and the Orion spacecraft are now on the return leg of their journey back home to Earth. They are expected to splash down off the coast of California on Friday, April 10th. Currently on your screen, you can see a live look into that Orion cabin. With the crew there on your screen, they are preparing for an upcoming public affairs downlink event. During this downlink event, they will have the opportunity to answer questions from members of the media ahead of their splashdown. Following the completion of this public affairs event, the crew has a handful of additional activities for the day, and then they will move into their private medical conference. Again, this is a daily conference with the medical teams on the ground, and then they will have a private conference with the flight control team.
Check we're at the lowest fan speed allowable.
Jeremy, good check. We can go 1,000 RPM lower if you want.
Give us all you got.
All right, it's in work.
That call from the crew and the Capcom here in Mission Control Houston, which for Orbit 2 is Jenny Gibbons, who is a Canadian Space Agency astronaut, referencing the cabin fan speed. Again, you can see the crew there on your screen as they're getting prepared for that upcoming public affairs event, which will start at 9:45 p.m. Central, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Time. During this event, the crew will have the opportunity to speak with members of the media and answer questions following their historic flyby around the moon and ahead of their splashdown. Again, that splashdown targeted to take place at 8:07 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, April 10th, off the coast of San Diego, California.
Integrity, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
from Integrity. We are ready for the event.
NASA Public Affairs Office, please call Integrity for a voice check.
Integrity, this is NASA PAO Courtney Beasley. How do you hear me? Integrity, this is NASA PAO Courtney Beasley. How do you hear me?
Hey, Courtney, we hear you, but you are very low.
Okay, I will try to talk a little bit louder. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, it's great to see you today. We have a room filled with media eager to talk
Courtney,
to you.
we have you loud and clear.
Wonderful. We have a room full of media ready to talk to you today, and we also have them on our phone bridge. We have a limited amount of time, so we're going to go ahead and hop straight into questions. We'll start here in the room with Marcia Dunn. Go ahead.
Marcia Dunn, Associated Press for you, Reed. Could you please describe your emotions when Jeremy called down to Mission Control to ask permission to name a lunar crater after your late wife, Carol? It was a pretty emotional, powerful moment down here.
Marcia, it was a powerful moment up here as well. My crewmates approached me when we were at Kennedy in quarantine, and they said, hey, the three of them had talked and they would like to do this. And that was an emotional moment for me. And I just thought that was just a total treasure that they had thought through this and they had offered this. And I said, absolutely, I would love that. I think that's just the best. And I said, but I can't give the speech. I can't give the talk. And Jeremy, the kind of guy he is, he said he would do it. And it was getting emotional there. And I think when Jeremy spelled Carol's name, C-A-R-R-O-L-L, I think for me, that's when I was overwhelmed with emotion. And I looked over and Christina was crying. I put my hand down on Jeremy's hand as he was still talking. It was right there on that rail. And I could just tell he was trembling, and we all pretty much broke down right there. And just for me personally, that was kind of the pinnacle moment of the mission for me. That was, I think, where the four of us were the most forged, the most bonded, and we came out of that really focused on that day ahead. I think that was a very caging moment for the four of us. Thank you for that question, and it was a great moment.
We'll take our next question in the room here from Joey. Go ahead.
Thanks. Joey Roulette with Reuters. I'm curious, Reed, and for anyone else who wants to answer it, how has this mission changed you guys personally and your views of the moon? These photos make it look kind of intimidating and beastly, and just curious to hear your thoughts on how you guys have also changed during this mission personally. Thank you.
I had an opportunity earlier to answer this question from my own perspective, and we have seen just some extraordinary things that I thought we might see. They looked similar to what I thought they might look like, and other things that I just had never even imagined. And those were different perspectives that we saw these things from, but I have to say, it hasn't changed my perspective or the perspective that I launched with. The perspective I launched with was that we live on a fragile planet in the vacuum, in the void of space. We know this from science. We're very fortunate to live on planet Earth. And the other perspective that I've sort of learned from others through life is that our purpose on the planet as humans is to find joy, to find the joy in lifting each other up, by creating solutions together instead of destroying. And when you see it from out here, it doesn't change it. It just absolutely reaffirms that. It's almost like seeing living proof of it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take one more question here in the room and then head to our phone bridge. If you are on the phone bridge and have a question, just a reminder to press *1. Jackie, go ahead.
Hi, Integrity. It's so wonderful to speak with you. This is Jackie Waddles with CNN. Obviously, there is a huge moment coming up with reentry. Can you describe your feelings, how you're preparing for that moment mentally and physically? And then as you prepare for the end of the journey, what are some moments that you know that you'll take with you for the rest of your life from this journey? Thank you.
You know, it started off sounding like an easy question for me to answer, and then it got really big. But I guess the entry thing, I'll be honest and say I've actually been thinking about entry since April 3rd, 2023, when we got assigned to this mission. And one of the first press conferences we were asked, what are we looking forward to? And I said, splashdown in 2023, when we got assigned to this mission. And one of the first press conferences we were asked, what are we looking forward to? And I said, splashdown. And it's kind of humorous, but it's literal as well, that we have to get back. There's so much data that you've seen already, but all the good stuff is coming back with us. There's so many more pictures, so many more stories. And gosh, I haven't even begun to process what we've been through. We've still got 2 more days. And riding a fireball through the atmosphere is profound as well. So I have to answer that question later. I'm not sure, but I can tell you it's a lot. And lifelong memories. I'm going to be thinking about and talking about all of these things for the rest of my life, for sure. Yep.
All right, we'll head over to our phone bridge. Our first question there is from Kelly Malone with Canadian Press. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Kelly Malone with the Canadian Press. There's a lot of excitement about scientific advancements as a result of the mission. You just spoke about the data, and I know you've spoken about training on robotics in Montreal. What are the takeaways from these missions so far that might be applied to robotics or other international tech efforts in the future? And just a quick personal note for Jeremy. I'm told you got a surprise message from your family. Can you share what it was like to hear from them?
Well, when I think about the Artemis program in general, we've already seen some investments in pushing robotic technology forward for deep space that we're going to see put to good use in one way or another. And this is the beauty of this program that brings an international collaboration, sets big goals, and doesn't just talk about them, but goes after them and gets it done. We're going to need the advances in robotics. It's really hard out here. We're a long way from home. We've been learning the entire journey. We've been watching Mission Control learn. You do a lot of testing on the ground, but your final test is when you get this hardware to space, and it's a doozy. And our team has just performed. They've just knocked it out of the park, but it doesn't mean it might look easy from the outside. We can tell they are working so hard on the ground to do this, and we really appreciate them. And so when we get these next generation robotics on the surface of the moon and out in deep space, there's going to be some challenges, there's going to be some failures along the way, and there's going to be some learning that happens. On the personal note, yes, I had some videos from all of my family, my 3 children, Devin, Ashley, and Caitlin, and my wife, Catherine. And when you're out in deep space by the moon and you are listening to a video they recorded for you before you launch, that's something.
We all had it so great, yep.
Okay, our next question is from Micah Maidenberg with the Wall Street Journal.
Hi, good evening. For anybody who'd like to answer, how do you think the flight has contributed to the broader Artemis program? Of course, it's not over yet, but what do you think the crew has already brought to the table for the next couple of missions? Thank you.
Of hours when they will have the final burn plans uplinked and the final targeting complete. Here's a video from the outside of Orion, and as we mentioned, pilot Victor Glover is exercising. We do see the spacecraft move a little bit when the crew is exercising, and so the teams here park the solar arrays into a safe harbor position. That means any motion that they experience due to the exercise doesn't damage the solar arrays. You're looking at a visualization of the spacecraft. Now 48,670 miles from the moon and 228,090 miles from Earth, continuing to grow closer. You can keep up with this data at any time by visiting nasa.gov/track-Artemis.
Down and to the left, line 17, the DAP load is 3 for burn maneuver.
Go ahead.
In the guidance solutions section, the delta V tote now 1.4 feet per second. The TIGO is unchanged at 1.5 seconds.
Good, go ahead.
Attitude, yaw, 154. Pitch, 2.6. Roll, 2.87.
That was Capcom's Stan Love here in Mission Control Houston, a fellow NASA astronaut speaking with NASA's Christina Cook aboard the Orion spacecraft. The crew aboard the spacecraft is preparing for their return trajectory correction burn. It's the first of these return trajectory correction burns, reported to be 1.4 foot per second delta V burn. Such a fantastic view coming from a solar array camera on Orion, looking back at all of us here on Earth. Currently, the spacecraft is 227,756 miles away from our home planet. Orion is now 49,168 miles away from the moon. Earlier today, the spacecraft exited the lunar sphere of influence. That's when the pull of gravity is strongest on the spacecraft. And we are standing by for the return trajectory correction 1 burn, now just 43 minutes away. Again, this is a small maneuver for the spacecraft, firing of those reaction control system thrusters.
And integrity, MCC is go for the burn.
Okay, we copy your still go, and we're go up here.
Ground team confirmed that we are go for the RTC-1 burn, return trajectory correction 1, coming up in 27 minutes. That will be at 7:03 p.m. Central Time.
Integrity, tank pressures are good for the burn.
Standing by for the RTC-1 burn. We have ignition and 4 good engines and good control.
Integrity, preliminary look is a good burn. Still assessing 40 seconds to LOS.
Okay, Stan, we saw a good burn on board as well.
Roger.
Confirmation from the crew that they also saw a good return trajectory correction 1 burn, coming at 7:03 p.m. Central Time. This view coming from the spacecraft, looking down at the European service module and the solar arrays. This is Artemis Mission Control. We did get final confirmation of that return trajectory correction 1 burn being a successful burn, and it ended up being 1.6 feet per second delta V. We are in a forward link LOS, or loss of signal, and the crew aboard the Orion spacecraft is, Christina Cook specifically, is going to get into some exercise. Again, this is a quiet day for the crew as they had a very busy day yesterday and have some busy days coming up as well.
And Reed, we just went around the room. Oh. We are all good. You can begin exercise now if you'd like.
Okay, we will. It is pretty interesting up here. I'm sure you see in the data, but we can definitely feel the vehicle moving around when folks are exercising. It's pretty cool to just sit there and float and feel the vehicle kind of. It's not like a ship rocking in the ocean, but you definitely feel it wiggling around.
We also see it in the SAW video as well as our data, but good to hear your report on it as well.
One last question. This is for a little later tonight, but we kind of want to do a couple deep sky long exposure photographs. If the saws are in the windows and it's possible to get the lights turned off on the SAW cameras in about an hour, we might appreciate that, but clearly not if it interrupts any sort of ops down there.
Reed, we think that will be doable. We will double check and we'll let you know when you're done exercising.
Okay, great. Thank you.
This is Mission Control Houston here in the Artemis Flight Control Room. We are coming to you live with our 24/7 coverage of the Artemis 2 mission. The Orion spacecraft, named Integrity, is 83,000 miles and counting away from the moon and 200,000 plus miles away from the Earth. We continue to provide you live coverage at a mission elapsed time of 6 days, 16 hours, and 57 minutes. The crew is getting ready to wake up and kick off flight day 8 of the mission. 2 minutes and 30 seconds counting down from now. We'll continue to stand by for that wake-up call. This is Mission Control Houston.
Your friends and colleagues at the Canadian Space Agency wish you another great day on your voyage. Canadians everywhere are inspired by your journey, and we're with you every step of the way. Let's go.
And good morning. This is Mission Control Houston in the Artemis Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center. At a mission elapsed time of 6 days, 17 hours, the crew was woken up. This marks the start of Flight Day 8 activities. Today's wake-up music was Under Pressure by David Bowie and Queen, as well as a message from Canadian Space Agency employees, which was kicked off by saying, "Go Artemis 2." We'll stand by for crew wake. This is Mission Control.